Damn. But at some point when you started taking it serious, you started running into other people. I mean, these are people that I've met through you. So like, what's the story behind guys like Deadeye and kind of the people you were running around with?
Yeah, so all right. There's a guy named Truth. His real name is Mike Cirillo. I hope he's okay with me saying his name. I guess I gotta ask him before I release this. So I went to junior high with this guy, and I used to hoop with him. Like his basketball was really like my first love. I still love basketball. And there was a guy named Mike Cirillo that I went to school with, and he hooped with me. He was real dope at who we both were. We both played like travel ball together. But he used to rhyme. He never knew that I rhymed until high school, but he was real dope. I wasn't, at least I didn't perceive that. I thought he was really dope, and I thought I just was kind of doing it for fun because everyone said that I had a future in basketball, not in music.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So Mike was really dope. And so when we were in junior high, like he would be in ciphers and shit, I would never say anything. I would just kind of be there supporting him. So when we got to high school, back then it was kind of like cliques and crews and shit. Like you would always form a crew like that. Everybody wanted to be, Wu-Tang or Tribe Called Quest or De La Soul. Like everyone wanted to be in a dope group because that was kind of how you did things back then. You wanted to be the Firm or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So the first day of high school, I met this cat named, at the time, his name was Nichols. Now you may know him as Jupiter Zonis or Brian, right? J.O. But
Jail.
At the time, his name was Nichols. So we was on our way to we was on our way to school on the bus. And he had gotten into a confrontation with another guy that I know still today. I won't say his name. Everything's all love. But he got into a confrontation with old boy. And up until this point, like we met, we immediately started talking about some hip hop shit. Immediately, like that was the first time I rapped in front of someone that wasn't the girl that I first spit to.
Oh, yeah.
Because he called me out. He's like, yo, you rhyme? I was like, yeah. He's like, let me hear something. So I spit that same rap that I spit for old girl to him. So he was like, yo, we should form a group. And I was like, all right, cool. He's like, well, when we get to school, let's see if there's anybody else that's dope. If they are, we'll add them to the group. So I was like, yo, I know this cat named Truth, who I was talking about earlier. We should add him to the group. That nigga's nice. He's like, all right, cool. Just talk to him. If he's with it, he's in the group. Like, this is how rudimentary shit was back in the fucking mid-90s. So
That's fucking hilarious.
when we get off the bus, he has a confrontation with this cat that I still know. And I kind of like intervene and punked the nigga that was on Brian's bumper because we was like a group now. And then that kind of like solidified this shit. He was like, yo, you got my back. Yo, I appreciate it. We a group. So that's kind of how this shit started. And then we got to school and Deadeye wasn't even a player. He didn't even go to our high school yet. He didn't come to our high school till sophomore year. So it was me, Truth, it was J.O., it was IQ, Benoit, it was Chaos, who's Daniel Gibson, that we will get to later. It was a few other guys, the homie Dante, the other homie we used to call Debo, R.I.P. Tiny Lister. It was all of us, and we kind of formed a group. And the first name of the group was not the IONS, it was Ill Nature.
Oh, shit. I didn't even know that.
It was Ill Nature. We had about 2 or 3 different names before we got to the IONS. And so first it was Ill Nature. Then I think the next year of high school, that's when Deadeye came to the high school. I met the story of me meeting Deadeye is crazy. We gotta get to that. It was like Genetech our sophomore year, and then we switched to IONS like mid-sophomore year. So we had different names. And that's kind of how we formed that whole crew.
No shit. Okay. All right. Well, speaking of which, I mean, you just brought up Deadeye. How did you end up meeting him anyway?
At a house party. So we was some real snooty, uppity, nose in the air, we're the most skilled niggas on the planet kind of group. Arrogant, way beyond where we should have been for the time, but nonetheless, at the time, we felt like could no rappers on the planet see us. Like we really felt that way. So the homie Truth had said, yo, is this cat, he's from a different high school. He's coming to our high school next year. I want him to kind of audition for the group. What the fuck he was auditioning for, I don't know. But that's in our heads at the time, and our like
it was like on some American Idol shit. You're like, yeah, let's see if we can make it.
In our 15-year-old heads, this made sense. Like we were Wu-Tang, and everyone around us felt that way too, but it was a really small place. Nonetheless, so he came to this house party we had at the homegirl's crib, and we auditioned him straight. Like we put him through a ringer. We was like, yo, go in the garage. We're going to send rappers in there. You got to battle and rap all night long and do not come out the garage. Now, I know to you, we in the garage smoking weed. I'm not saying 15-year-olds should smoke weed. That's what we were doing.
I mean, come on.
You're smoking weed, hotboxing this shit out the garage, and he was in there all night. I'm talking about probably from like 7 p.m. to like 1 in the morning. And I remember the beat that he was battling and rapping over all night was the Cannabis second round knockout beat. Because Cannabis was his favorite. Cannabis and Redman were his favorite rappers ever. I think they might still be. I don't know.
If anyone knows Deadeye, that makes so much sense.
Oh, yeah, it makes perfect sense. Cannabis and Redman were those guys for him at the time. So he was battling over the Cannabis second round knockout beat all night long. I'm talking about for like 5 hours. And I'm saying sending niggas home, though. Like, I have to highlight that. Deadeye is one of the best MCs I've ever met in my life. I want to be clear about that.
Yeah, and that's, I mean,
he's skilled beyond comprehension, and especially in the freestyle arena. And he was sending niggas home. Like, I remember, niggas would come through, yo, you rap, go to the garage. And they come out like, yo, we out of here. This nigga's hella disrespectful and da-da-da-da. And then they leave, and then new niggas would come. Yo, you rap? Yeah, go in the garage. And that was kind of what we were doing, like going to the garage all night long. And I would go in there, like go. At the time, I wasn't.
Watch or whatever.
Yeah, I wasn't smoking weed at the time. I probably went in there with like a St. Ides, if you remember those drinks.
Oh my God.
Right? Going in my little St. Ides, and I'm just watching arrogant as fuck for like 30 minutes. Like, all right, you doing a good job. And then after the night was up, and everybody was trying to, kind of scattering off, going home. We was like, yo, you in the group? And he was like, yo, that's what's up. So then he started repping. At the time, I think we was Genetech. And then that's kind of how we met. And him and I, in particular, in the group, we always hit it off. And he's still like one of my best friends to this day. And you know what I'm saying? And like he's, uncle to my kids. I'm uncle to his. Like we talk. It's not a week that goes by that we don't speak. That's my guy. He's gonna be the best man in my wedding. So
that's what's up, man.
Yeah.
So that pretty much sums up a lot of the early days and kind of how you got started rhyming and everything. Where was the transition when you started recording music, and kind of what bridged the gap there? How did that start?
Well, we recorded music in high school, but it was such low level shit that we were passing out cassettes. And once again, I'm aging myself, but we were passing around cassettes. There are cassettes somewhere in the world that are in existence. They have IONS freestyles on them.
I'd pay good money to have those.
I would pay good money to have some of those, but there are tapes in the world. I actually think one or two of our members, if I'm not mistaken, maybe Truth has it. I think he might have some tapes. Early ION stuff. Also, my homie G Clark may have it. And I know I do have footage of us performing at school. And this is on YouTube. It's on there now.
I did see
that. You see that? Yeah. So that's really when the recording started. Also in high school, so Deadeye is originally from Long Beach. And he was a couple of degrees of separation, like around from the Dog Pound niggas. So there were like some other Dog Pound niggas and like niggas from his, you know, his cliques and crews and sets from out in Long Beach that we used to record with in Fontana. And they had a studio where this cat named Don Dio, he was an engineer. And he had a bunch of other artists like Debate Tactics and Money Bucks and even Badass would come to that studio and record. And that's really where I got my first real foray into recording with Deadeye, because him and I had created a group called the Transcendentalists. So we had our big group called the IONS, yes. And then we had small groups, and like J.O. and Chaos created their own group. And then me and Deadeye created our own group, and it was called the Transcendentalists. So we would go to this studio with these Dog Pound niggas, and we would try and like record our shit in between when they was kind of writing and shit. And then we would also jump on their records because they was on some like, yo, y'all sound like East Coast niggas. Like we should, I like all this lyrical miracle shit. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's do that. So I was like, all right, cool. So we would kind of, you know, rap on they shit. But that's when I really got my first kind of foray into recording. And at first I hated my voice. I hated it. I hated the way I sounded on records. I hated the way just everything about it. I didn't have enough time with it. And then there was a guy that was down the street from me, literally down the street, like walking distance. I was cool with his son. And I went to school with his son, and his son's dad was in the music. He had a full studio. So I had like my little checks from work and shit that I had, and from other shit I was doing. And I would rent studio time from him. He would rent time for me for $10 an hour. So I would go down there and I would get like little beats that J.O. used to make that I would take off of the little tapes and CDs that we was passing around. And I would go down to that studio and kind of record on the low.
Got a clique full of shooters. They won't let me